Could that chill down your spine be a draft leaking in, or is it a ghost? Some of the country's oldest bars have both, thanks to having survived fires, wars, and Prohibition, and visiting your state's oldest bar is like getting a history lesson that you can get drunk during. The first stop on our cross-country bar crawl takes us to Anniston, Alabama, to pay a visit to the Peerless Saloon and Grill. If for some reason you were doubting that it's been around since 1899, you'd be convinced otherwise the minute you walk inside. The spot's most eye-catching feature is undoubtedly its bar, which features a huge half-moon mirror and a mahogany bar top that was originally crafted at the 1904 World's Fair. 2 years later, the gorgeous piece of wood made its way to Peerless, and it's been there ever since. Time for a debate. A cursory search for Alaska's oldest bar will likely turn up two results, B&B Bar and the Imperial. Both have been around since the late 19th century, so each has vied for this coveted title, but the proof is in the paperwork, and B&B earned this spot due to having the state's oldest liquor license on display. If you ever find yourself up in Kodiak, Alaska, keep an eye out for this little hole in the wall. Not even a fire could bring down the oldest bar in Arizona. A Prescott staple since 1877, loyal customers of the Palace Restaurant and Saloon saved the original hand-carved bar fixture from a certain inferno-y death in 1900 and wasted no time celebrating.
Got it all out across the street to safety and proceeded to drink.
And if you like mementos with your booze, check out the display cases holding relics from yesteryear, and be sure to look up to see some bona fide bullet holes in the ceiling, possibly made while Wyatt and Virgil Earp were there enjoying a beverage or two. Arkansas's oldest bar is called the Ohio Club, a possible cruel joke that surely must have confused many inebriated patrons over its many years in existence. Since 1905, this destination has played host to an array of notorious customers at times, including the infamous Al Capone, a hotbed for gambling. The Ohio Club even became a speakeasy during Prohibition. After all it's been through, it's safe to call this bar resilient, and it's worth a visit for the artifacts memorializing its checkered history.
Step back in time, have a beer with someone famous or infamous might have had a beer, grab a bite to eat, and make sure you get a picture with Al out front.
The name of California's Iron Door Saloon makes much more sense when you get to the iconic swinging metal doors at the entrance. Once inside, you'll find various displays paying homage to the Yosemite area and its surrounding history, dating back to when the bar was built in 1852.
Awesome, this place is so cool. It's like a museum that you can get drunk in.
And for those who love building material facts to go along with your drink, you may be interested in knowing that Iron Door is the only Tuolumne County historic building built with granite instead of slate. Originally called the International Bowling Saloon, Colorado's Buffalo Rose Saloon has the distinction of being one of the first places to sell Coors beer, which was established a few blocks away soon after the saloon's founding in 1859. Though Buffalo Rose has since gone through several renovations, its rich history remains memorialized via an extensive brochure for those in the mood for a fun read alongside their drink. If you feel yourself getting smarter while having a drink at Connecticut's Griswold Inn, it may be the lingering effects of the tap room originating as a schoolhouse in 1735. After deciding that alcohol was better than a boring old school, the tap room was attached to the inn in 1801. Nowadays, patrons can enjoy live music at the venue while eating in the aesthetically pleasing dining room. And if you're a fan of maritime art, there's no better place to be. If you love St. Patrick's Day, spending it at Kelly's Logan House in Delaware should be on your bucket list. Built in 1864, it's not only a central celebrator of St. Patrick's Day, but also the oldest family-owned Irish bar in the country, and it isn't shy about its heritage. And if it's a personal goal to visit a place that has hosted celebrities, from Wild West heroes like Buffalo Bill and Wild Bill Hickok to modern stars Glenn Howerton and Reese Witherspoon, then look no further than Kelly's. Florida's Palace Saloon was originally built in 1878 as a haberdashery, one of history's more fun words that refers to a men's clothing store. But after ultimately deciding they liked booze more than clothes, Floridians transformed it into a saloon in 1903, and they've since fought tooth and nail to continue its legacy.
We take it very seriously. People like to come back to something that they remember. When people walk in here and they go, man, it looks exactly the way it did when I was a kid, that's a great thing, right?
It was the last bar in the country to shutter operations upon the enactment of Prohibition, and even survived a devastating 1999 fire. Sure, there are rumors it's haunted, but who doesn't like making new friends during a night at the bar? If you want to party with the spirits of swashbucklers, head on down to the Pirates House in Savannah, Georgia. Established in 1753, the state's oldest building was actually a popular hub for pirates of the Seven Seas to gather for over a century. And like a few entries on our list, there may be some ghosts hanging around.
If I saw a ghost pirate, I probably wouldn't come back. Maybe I gotta be a little more sensitive to the pirate's needs, right? Maybe you just want some shrimp and grits.
It was narrowly saved from demolition in 1945 by Mary Hillier, who would eventually restore the building to its former glory. A fixture of Honolulu's Chinatown, Smith's Union Bar dates back to 1935 and was originally an establishment of the town's red light district that catered to scores of merchant seamen. As such, it holds obvious ties to Pearl Harbor, and taking a break from the beach to visit the bar will almost certainly find you entrenched in stories of Honolulu's history. The chill going down your spine when you visit Idaho's White Horse Inn and Saloon might be the alcohol making its way through your system, or it might be another ghost. Since its opening in 1907, the White Horse has reportedly been the site of numerous ghostly apparitions and inexplicable occurrences, so head on over to verify the rumors. The next time you visit Chicago, take a little trek past the city's borders and visit Long Grove Village Tavern, Illinois' oldest bar that's been in operation since 1847. The tavern managed to survive the buzzkill era known as Prohibition by operating as an ice cream parlor, and today its interior boasts several historic fixtures, including a grandfather clock from 1893's World Fair and its bar top, which was saved from a 1960s fire. Originally called the Galt House Tavern when it opened in 1835, Indiana's oldest bar eventually changed its name to the Cherrywood Bar before becoming the even better Knickerbocker Saloon, which has been its name since 1874. The establishment's current main bar has been installed since 1891, and piano music has always been a big draw for customers, a tradition that carries through to this day. A shining example of a family-owned business, Breitbach's Country Dining has been in operation since 1852 and has remained under family ownership since 1862, with the current owner being the great-great-grandson of purchaser Jacob Breitbach. A visit today won't have you eating in the original building, however. The business miraculously survived 2 devastating fires within the span of 10 months in 2009, but the community wouldn't let it disappear.
You know, you really grow to love a place.
This isn't just for us, this is for everybody here.
Founded in 1857, Hayes House Restaurant and Tavern has the distinction of being Kansas's oldest restaurant. Though you may not recognize the name of its founder, Seth Hayes, you'll undoubtedly have heard of Hayes' great-grandfather, Daniel Boone. The owners have strived to preserve its historical significance by restoring it in accordance with its 1903 version. And if someone invites you down into the tavern's basement, they're not being creepy. They just want to show you the original bar that's kept in the building's cellar. Fans of bourbon and its history should pay a visit to Kentucky's Old Talbott Tavern, since it was one of the first locations to serve the beloved brown beverage. Established in 1779, its building is the subject of local lore, rich legends, and ghost stories. The tavern is said to have hosted Presidents Abraham Lincoln and Andrew Jackson, and there are rumors that Jesse James took it upon himself to decorate its walls with bullet holes. Built on New Orleans' legendary Bourbon Street sometime between 1722 and 1732, Lafitte's Blacksmith Shop Bar is another spot with a supposedly checkered history. It's rumored to have once been owned by famed pirate Jean Lafitte, and legend says that it was a blacksmith shop by day and a hub for black market trading at night. The honor of oldest bar in Maine would have gone to Jameson Tavern, but sadly its run appears to have come to an end as of January 2025. So instead, Mathew's Pub in Portland gets the acclaim here. Having been around since 1872, the bar has definitely been in existence long enough to earn its new title. But the arcade games, rooftop bar, and karaoke nights suggest that it's at least trying to be somewhat modern. Hey, if it's good enough for George Washington, it's good enough for us. Having been around since 1750, Middleton Tavern in Annapolis, Maryland, has been serving seafarers and politicians for centuries. Nowadays, a visit to Middleton Tavern will see you enjoying upscale seafood, just a tad updated from the type of meals that Washington probably chowed down on while thinking about how to deal with those pesky redcoats. No shade to Middleton Tavern, but it wasn't George Washington's favorite drinking establishment. Around since 1780, the Warren Tavern in Boston was so beloved by the first president that it was the site for his funeral speech. Paul Revere was also known to stop in, possibly even for a break while on his ride to let everyone know the British were on their way. Stop in to see for yourself what the Founding Fathers saw in the historic spot. Despite its name, the new Hudson Inn is far from new. Established in 1831, most of the building is still true to the original, and you can still visit an upstairs room purported to be part of the Underground Railroad. It's one of the only places in the world where you can view artifacts left by formerly enslaved people seeking freedom in one room, and then go into another for karaoke. Warming Minnesotans since 1887, Neumann's Bar survived Prohibition by turning its upper floor into a speakeasy, which patrons of the establishment can still visit in the 21st century. You'll even find a Prohibition-era phone upstairs. The line goes downstairs, and it was used to provide warning to speakeasy patrons in danger of getting caught drinking illegally. Situated on the Mississippi River since the early 1800s, the Under the Hill Saloon has both beautiful views of waterfront sunsets and a scandalous past. Once a gathering place for patrons whom you wouldn't exactly call wholesome, the saloon has seen its fair share of violence, prostitution, and liberal drinking. Nowadays, when you enter the establishment, you'll be greeted with one of the least illicit activities ever, a history lesson in the form of tame mementos from its past. One of the most unique spots on this list is Missouri's oldest bar, O'Malley's Pub. It looks unassuming enough from the outside, but once you enter, you'll find that the actual bar is nearly 60 feet below the surface. Though currently a bar, the cellar used to be a place for the Weston Brewing Company to store its beer barrels, until Prohibition finally ended and everyone could have fun again. Originally called the J.F. Stour Salon when it opened in 1869, Montana's Bale of Hay Saloon has been known by its current name since the 1890s. Like many spots on this list, the structure survived a massive fire, and though it's obviously undergone renovation, the front and outside of the building are still the original structure. As of 2025, the saloon is owned by the Montana Heritage Commission, but you can still get your drink on in the summer when it operates as a bar. With a name that sounds like it was conceived after the original owner had a few of his own supply, Glur's Tavern has been operating in Nebraska since 1876. History is important at the old watering hole. It's been on the National Register of Historic Places since 1975, and its current owners, Todd and Carrie Troffels, are dedicated to maintaining the bar's rich history. Buffalo Bill is among the many characters who have supposedly visited the bar, with rumors suggesting he once paid the whole bar's tab with a $1,000 bill. Nevada's oldest bar has been around longer than the state itself. Established in 1853, Genoa Bar and Saloon isn't shy about flaunting its history as soon as patrons walk in.
The walls are covered with historical photos and paintings. There is even an original wanted poster of Abe Lincoln's killer on the walls.
Along with all the historical swag adorning the establishment's walls, there's a massive mirror behind the bar that's been around just as long. When you head in, try its famous Bloody Mary while reading up on some of the legendary figures who have frequented the bar, like John Wayne, Mark Twain, and Raquel Welch. Opened in 1789, the Inn at Hancock originally served as an ideal stopping point for travelers on the Vermont to Boston Monadnock Valley trade route, and quickly became known for having a lively scene and great fare.
Even if we're not open for dinner, we leave all the lights on because people want the inn to be happy, and it makes them happy.
The inn temporarily closed in 2022 to undergo a series of renovations before reopening in 2024, so now weary travelers can get some modern amenities to go along with their taste of history. If New Jersey's Barnsboro Inn has a nice, homey feel, that's because back in 1720, owner John Budd built it as his personal home. The inn has had several different names over the years, and even survived Prohibition by selling, wink wink, just ice cream. Get a quick history lesson from servers, and take in some of the building's centuries-old architecture. El Farol has been a beloved fixture in the Santa Fe community since 1835. Ownership has changed hands many times over the years, but a shared desire to maintain key parts of the original structure has been constant. The original bar base is still in place, and the walls continue to house artwork from many of the artists who have frequented El Farol over the years. And bonus, flamenco dancing is a constant source of entertainment. This may be a shock to many, but the state of New York has more to offer than just the Big Apple, and that includes its oldest bar. The town of Tappan has been home to the Old 76 House since 1668, and in terms of historical significance, it's one of the more notable spots on this list.
As far as the Revolution goes, there's probably no landmark that more condensed history happened in.
The Old 76 House became a refuge for Americans during the Revolutionary War and was even briefly a prison for Major John Andre, a revolutionary spy who was ultimately executed. Compared to some of the bars on this list, the Bistro Roca and Antlers bar in North Carolina is a fresh-faced baby, having only been around since 1932. This may not be the oldest spot on our list, but it still holds its fair share of history, and the wall of pet pictures is sure to win over any animal lover. The Peacock Alley waited until all those shenanigans with Prohibition were over and done with before opening its doors in 1933, but the Patterson Hotel, which the bar is housed in, has been around since 1911, and during Prohibition, they may or may not have served people an adult beverage or two. Nowadays, it's no longer playing loose with the law, serving as an award-winning restaurant in Bismarck, North Dakota. Ye Olde Trail Tavern has undergone many iterations since it was established in 1827, serving as both a resort-esque luxury hotel and a summer home. If you can pay a visit, you can see where it gets the old in its name by looking at the original logs, which still make up part of the construction in the back of the building. Come for the fried chicken, stay for the drinks. Ishan's Bar has been around since 1896 in the small town of Okarche. It used to boast a gorgeous 1800s-era bar, but a fire, the historical bar's greatest nemesis, destroyed most of it in 1993. Part of it was preserved, however, and it can still be visited inside Ishans, though nowadays the establishment's fried chicken is the main draw.
Right now we're averaging 3,000 to 3,500 chickens a week. A good Saturday is 900 to 1,000 chickens.
Both the Pioneer Saloon and the Rainbow Cafe have a right to the title of oldest bar in the state of Oregon, as both claim an opening year of 1883. But when it comes down to choosing the oldest, we had to go with the Pioneer Saloon, as it still retains its original structure. The Rainbow Cafe may have its original linoleum bar top, but it's also undergone various renovations over the years. The King George Inn in Bristol, Pennsylvania, has seen more history than nearly any other place on this list.
If the bar could talk, it would have quite a few stories to tell.
It's been around since 1681, and while some of its history may be more lore than fact, there's a decent bet that some important figures had used the inn as a place of refuge during the Revolutionary War. Like many places on our list, it's also purportedly haunted, though these ghosts are more likely to be rocking a powdered wig. America's oldest operating restaurant rests in its tiny estate. The White Horse Tavern in Rhode Island started serving customers in 1673, and much of the architecture is still characteristic of colonial times, having undergone a careful and thorough restoration in 1954. It also carries on its long-standing tradition of serving local produce and seafood, perfect for those who want a drink while knocking out their shopping list. In addition to being South Carolina's oldest bar, the Tavern at Rainbow Row is also America's oldest liquor store. Its existence goes back to 1686, when it served as a seafarer's tavern due to its close proximity to a port. It's also quite possibly the only bar that has ever served pirates and offered haircuts, operating as a barber shop during Prohibition, though it also sold liquor on the side. Named after a frequent guest on this list, Buffalo Bill Cody, South Dakota's Buffalo Bodega was established in 1877 and outlasted a whopping 17 other saloons that were in operation at the time. It helps that it also serves as a gaming casino for the Deadwood community in the 21st century and has a vibrant nightlife scene while still retaining some historical charm. Serving thirsty patrons since 1897, Nashville's Springwater Supper Club and Lounge wears its title of Dive Bar proudly. The spot is rough around the edges and proud of it, and it regularly hosts friendly locals who don't need a fancy setting to enjoy their booze, just like it did while operating as a speakeasy during Prohibition. If you're wanting a taste of Germany here in the US, be sure to head to Austin, Texas. The state's oldest bar, Schultz Garten, also holds the claim of being the oldest beer garden in the country. It was founded in 1866 by German immigrant August Scholz and served as a secondary home to a number of German immigrants in the area at its founding. It has since gained recognition throughout Austin, and you'll find people of all different backgrounds, beliefs, and ideologies enjoying a beer there upon visiting. The original owner of Utah's oldest bar was allegedly quite the character. Aside from hilariously naming the original saloon Hoken's Hole, Hoken Olsen and his wife frequently got in trouble with the law and were regularly fined and jailed for illegally selling liquor throughout his ownership of the establishment.
Hoken and Marie were arrested for all kinds of things, including selling alcohol to minors, operating without a liquor license, gambling.
Now named the much less fun Shooting Star Saloon, the bar's walls are adorned with a ton of taxidermy, and its simple menu focuses on burgers, chips, and beer. Vermont's Ye Olde Tavern was founded in 1790, which makes it older than the state itself. There was a 20-year chunk of time in the early 20th century where it was closed after having its liquor license revoked. But today, the building is open and the alcohol is flowing. The tavern was meticulously restored by its 1975 owners, and shortly thereafter was added to the Vermont Register of Historic Places. While it was originally established as a tavern and inn when it opened in 1779, the Abingdon Tavern has gone through a few different stages of figuring out what it wants to be. The building was once a bakery, an antique shop, a bank, and even served as a hospital for soldiers on both sides during the Civil War. Visiting today, however, you'll find less wounded soldiers and more dinner options now that it's settled into its role as a restaurant with a historic atmosphere. Though originally opened in 1889, Washington's oldest bar wouldn't gain its name until it was rebuilt 9 years later with a whopping 45,000 bricks. The Brick Saloon still retains mementos from its past. Notably, its bar has been there for over 100 years, and they still use the original water spittoon. In a non-creepy way, ask to check out the basement to see some coal mining history and a few jail cells used in the 1979 Dick Van Dyke movie, The Runner Stumbles. Blue-collar workers have been enjoying a brew and some bites at West Virginia's oldest bar since 1899. Affectionately referred to as the Net by locals, the North End Tavern and Brewery has stayed popular thanks to owner Joe Rodersheimer renewing the restaurant's neighborhood appeal by giving it a more extensive menu that catered to the family crowd. And don't worry, beer fans, the tavern offers plenty of options with its craft beer selection. Built by the Independent Order of Oddfellows in 1894 and used by the Society up until the 1960s, the Monarch Public House in Wisconsin isn't shy about its Irish heritage. Much of the original fixtures and furniture are still used in the restaurant, including its back bar, tin ceilings, and even its tables and chairs. The Monarch has undergone thorough restoration over the years, but maintaining its original character has remained a priority. Our last entry on the list comes with the longest name. Wyoming's Miners and Stockmen's Steakhouse and Spirits has been in Hartville since its founding in 1862. Much of the building's architecture is still original, and its cherry bar even dates all the way back to 1862 when it was built in Germany. Photographs in the back room offer a glimpse into the steakhouse's history, and the spot also houses a tribute wall to U.S. veterans.